Well, thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here. And I was just thinking that, we are still at a relatively early stage in our journey. So to be presenting to this audience comes with experience, work experience in many cases at a very prestigious institution. What are the key areas that we can truly lay claim to and hopefully share the perspective at this stage of our journey? As I said, early days. I think, at a top level from a company standpoint, these are the 4 things that we feel at this stage have been differentiating factors for us. Number 1, persistence. Number 2, adopting an omni-channel outlook even before the word became fashionable. Relentless focus on technology and quality and consistency as a bedrock, because ultimately we are a chai company, we are a product company, we are a beverage company. We somehow have internalized quality and consistency as the key and then prioritized operations and executions, right? This style is important, this slide is important because this kind of gives you a perspective of what we really were up against when we started, and to a large extent in broader India, this is still the reality, right? This is the heat map of the chai and coffee world, right? If the word chai comes up in every consumer's mind in India, this is the heat map that comes up. You will think of roadside shanties or tapris, small eateries. At the moment you think of coffee, you would think of cafes and exotic bars, right? So when I realized, what prompted us to start this was the size of the market. Now people are tracking this market. At that point of time, nobody was thinking of chai. Now everybody knows that it's a 1.5 lakh crore market. It's going to be 4.5 lakh crores by 2022. Billion dollar terms, 24, going on to $60 billion. We did not have all this data. We just had a gut instinct that the size of the market is large. But fundamentally, the challenge, candidly speaking, which inspired me and many of us, was a bit of a marketing and branding perception challenge. We said that, can we change this, right? Can we change this heat map scenario and go on to this one? And having worked abroad, I realized that this is imminent. It's going to happen. It's because coffee did the same thing. 50 years ago, Starbucks did the same thing. In US, coffee was consumed at home in instant coffee, or people on the way to office would fill up their cars at the petrol pump and pay 50 cents for getting coffee, till the time Starbucks came in, right? So our journey as such, and possibly aspects that I want to talk and share in this small discussions, relate to this heat map for chai, moving from tapris to at least a cafe and exotic bars sort of a mindset. Why is it important? Somebody can also say, somebody with a bit of a left leaning of thinking that, chai is very democratic. Why do you need to give it a capitalistic spin, right? It should be accessible, available to all. You're all out to fleece, right? And that's a train of thought, which of course we digest. We don't believe in that. Why do we don't believe in that? Because India is fundamentally a very young country, right? People are very, very aspirational. People are increasingly getting aspirational on brands, the way they look, the way they wear, what they eat, how they travel, and you can't take that away. To take that away would be taking India out of the race today. I firmly believe that. So while we hear that view, we are very clear that we have to focus moving from there to here. In that journey of moving from there to here, what we want to be particular about is that we want to be real. So our aspiration for the brand is to be a ritualistic brand. What is our ambition? Our ambition is to own the ritual of chai. It's a very big capitalistic kind of an ambition. It's a very large market. But to own it, you have to be perceived in the Indian context as a value plus brand. You have to deliver value. People are not going to own us as a ritual if the cup of chai is 200 rupees, 250 rupees. So pricing has to be intelligent, but it doesn't mean that we offer it at 5 rupees or 10 rupees, right? So at the heart is the perfect cup of chai. Without this, the ritual, the whole aspect of any product company for that matter, certainly for us, right? We are a product company, we are a beverage company. So if there is any takeaway that the audience can take away from this discussion is a peek into the thought process of a product-centric brand build-out, company build-out, right? So it has to start with the perfect quality. If the quality is not right, you'll falter. And, it's a challenge for us. We work on it on a very regular basis, on a very daily basis, right? But having said that, coming to what I said, the size of the market, right? Just to give you a feel, right? At a time, anyhow. So now people appreciate the size. Chai is 79% of the non-alcoholic beverage market in the country. Juices and all are single digits. They get all the glamour and all the attention. But fact of the matter is that the king of beverages in the country is chai, 79%. Still growing, right? And I talked about the numbers. Our focus as a brand is on the 20 million white collar. Where's the 20 million number coming from? It's an inaccurate number. It's a much bigger number, but this is roughly the data which comes from the income tax paying base within that bracket, which you can categorize as the white collar, right? If you look at that and if you assume that even that segment takes in 2 cups of chai at a 20 rupee price point, which is not our target price point, we want to move up, right? It's a $4.5 billion market, right? Huge. It's highly fragmented, right? Even if we were to get a 1% of this, we can be a $250 million business, right? So size is huge, right? And while I sort of come to the next slides, I just possibly want to quickly take you through. I was talking about the heat map, right? And I just want to take you, and then I'll come back into the flow, into the slide, but I want to show you the images, which possibly are a testament to our persistence in the last 4 or 5 years of the build out of the category and the build out of the brand. Because pictures speak louder than words, right? I mean, they give you an idea that what do you need to do and what is the kind of direction that we need to take in order to create a mindset that a product which is relegated to shanties and tapris can slowly be perceived in a different light, right? So, started with the stores. And stores is the single most important brand platforms for us. 5 years ago, could we have visualized such stores in such locations? No, right? But we are working, right? We are just working on that aggressively. And this is the fundamental part. How do you change the perception? The perception is through imagery, through customer experience touch point. Moving on to dispensers. We became an omni-channel brand very, very quickly. We realized that 55% of the white collars are actually consuming chai and coffee at work. How do you create new age dispensers with cutting edge look and feel, which can again elevate the chai, right? So, what's the thread behind the pictures around the stores and moving on to the dispensers? You can see our direction has been, without moving away from quality and consistency, take the imagery to a very aspirational, young, progressive India zone rather than a Khadi Ka Jhola kind of a zone or 70s Amol Palekar kind of a mindset, right? And that's where the entire focus of the company has been. Then moving on from packaging, right? Focusing on quality. Garden to Glass is our program where we get teas which are manufactured and vacuum packed right at the selected range of gardens that we work with. So Garden to Glass is a program that we are institutionalizing. So the other part of our business, and that's a very important part of the New India, is that while you are working on aspiration, the young Indian is also hugely bothered in a genuine way about environment, right? They want good products which are not only good in terms of look and feel, but offer value, are good in health, and are doing justice to the environment. And we are seeing this as a big trend moving on, right? So our packaging towards that is a big part, and the Garden to Glass program is a big part. Omni-channel is a big, big reality. I talked about it in my word section slide. People want access to products at the touch of a button, right? So introducing a range of flasks, the simple thing which is, and we just delivered our millionth flask 2-3 weeks ago, is a testament to this reality. And this is a business which is going at 200%. It's doubling essentially, right, every year, right? As the food aggregators are coming in, the humble chai has such a low fatigue factor, and people already have it as a big part of their ritual, that making the product omni-channel, available on the phone, right, side by side omni-channel through the dispenser and of course on the store has been a critical part. All while, right, not moving away from the originality of the product and presenting the same cup of, the same product in a light which is authentic yet contemporary. So our logo has a chai glass because we realize that, why create something new? This is iconic, right? But can we present it in a light where it starts suddenly coming across as the coolest thing? So people hanker for getting access to our branded chai glasses. So can I get those 6 or 7? And we are actually, and we had no intention of merchandising it, but now we are coming with a merchandising aspect of it, right? And it's so important because it's all in your mind, right? I mean, if the same thing was lying on the shanties, you would never carry the chai ka glass. But now suddenly, right, you start visualizing it and the respect for the beverage and our goal ultimately of elevating chai, and frankly, ability to extract a premium around that cup of chai and make the business a more profitable suddenly starts becoming a bigger reality, right? Jaggery, another aspect, right? Simple product which has been around for centuries. Because of the fact that our families have been using it for ages, it has a vote of confidence on health and authenticity which is way bigger than any doctor's certificate or any report from a medical institution, right? Now, how to mainstream it? How to start making it available in all the stores? I was talking to a gentleman again around it, right? So we'll be one of the first companies to introduce jaggery sachets, machine-produced sachets, which will be available across all the stores and dispensers, so that at offices, so that people can pick it up and start using the chai. Jaggery, it turns out, is great for filter coffee also. I mean, the filter coffee experience with jaggery is equally fantastic, right? So again, take the same product, but position it in a light which suddenly gets it that kind of brand and eminence. Honey, right? Why go for sugarless tablets which are already carrying the label unsafe for kids, which means that they can't be healthy for adults also, right? So, not introduce honey. Honey is just fantastic. And the focus is on getting it on a packaging, it's a special packaging actually, It is designed keeping some basic capillary sciences in mind, so that when you tear it across, and just with a little squeeze, the honey can come out and it doesn't stick to your fingers and it's not messy and so on, so forth, right? So all packaging, all perception, simple products, and that has been fundamentally our journey, really. And I'm done with my time, but if I also have to share, what could we have done better? And I've got last slides, really. Focus on profitability 2 years earlier, and 100% isolated ourselves from the follies of startup overspend. We raised money from VC, a lot of ideas, okay, let's spend this. Thankfully, we did not go overboard, but I could have still saved a lot more for the company if we had somehow not gotten carried away with the need to do hoardings and a lot of crazy advertising. Protected our culture and values every time we did senior level hires, right? So we knew that culture was important, but every time we hired senior people from the industry, from large MNCs, somehow we felt that, look, we need them and maybe we should give away to their way of thinking, right? But sometimes we overdid it. I realized that you got to protect your culture like a fortress. Now we don't care. I mean, we are thankfully, as Mr. Bali was mentioning, we can't call ourselves a startup. We should be calling ourselves a venture, and that's a great thing. We'll remember that always. As a venture, we don't need anybody from the industry, irrespective of their experience, to teach us about culture and values, and we need to define our own. And I wish we had done that even more strongly. Focused on design and branding way, way earlier. What's our focus now? Make brand build up a core task. We are going after it with an amazing level of energy and improve our food offerings. We are focusing on ultra smart, relevant and culture fit hirings. We are getting super strict about it. We don't care if we do 14 interviews, 15 interviews. We don't care if the headhunter says, you guys are a nuisance. We said, fantastic. We want 10 people to say we are a nuisance in hiring people. We don't care. We will, for one role, we will interview 30 times. Don't care, right? Performance management discipline, which for a young company is tough, but we realize it's super important now. Manage the performance of every aspect of our business, starting with our people on a very, very regular basis. And what we call process architecture 3.0, essentially keep on evaluating, are you building the scaffolding for the company to go for the next 5 years or 10 years? Relentless focus on scaffolding. When you build a multi-story, you need to create the scaffold so that you can take it up, right? So this is our focus now. Thank you so much.